What's up, pros and hoes, whatever floats your goat? It's Relentless here, and I'm bringing you yet another Division build video. If you're new to the channel, please ground and pound that sub and like button, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so that way you know each and every day when a new video or live stream goes up. Hope you guys are just having a fantastic day. I know I am, just running amok in the DZ, doing the same old, same old. But anyways, enough with the chit chat. Let's hop into this build. As you can see, it utilizes the ninja bag and also a 3-piece nomad, which is the ninja bag, makes 4, and then we have 2 predator plus ninja that makes 3 pred. Now, if you don't know the talents in which that you get from the nomad, as you all know, 2 pieces, 15% health on a kill. 3-piece Nomad's Resolve grants a constant small amount of healing, allowing the user to regenerate all segments of health bar during combat. And then the 4th piece, when receiving fatal damage, you are instead healed to the full health, can occur once every 4 minutes. And then Fred, so that way you have a refresher course. 2-piece reload speed, not that beneficial, but then we're mostly using it for the 3-piece, which is assault rifle damage and SMG damage. On our weapons, we have, as always, the MP5 ST. It's one of my favorite guns. 21.6k base with deadly, unforgiving, and responsive. And as always, my secondary, which is the Tactical Vector 45 ACP with 23.4k damage with sustained, deadly, and predatory. If I choose to switch up to an AR, then I have the LBOAC 19.6k with predatory, sustained, and competent. Now, the whole purpose of having these talents on your secondary is for, it doesn't matter whether you're in the DZ or you're PvEing. This is more or less fluid with both, since both are in the DZ. If you are low on medkits and don't want to use a medkit, then as you're fighting NPCs or going for a drop or whatnot, or just clearing a landmark, then you can just switch over to your secondary weapon, and that way you don't have to use medkits at all, because killing a target gives you 35% health over 20 seconds, and the sustained killing a target increases your health by 6%. And then you stack on top of that the health on kill that you get with Nomad, and overall, you heal up quite nicely without using any med kits or really any heals whatsoever, as long as you play it smart and use your cover. Especially when those pesky NPCs, you don't necessarily have to try to face tank, but by all means, go ahead, because you do have that one proc. But you want to play smart. So especially on those long incursions or whatnot, then the sustained and predatory does come in quite handy. Moving on to the gear, we have the Nomad chest piece, 1828 armor. A little low on the stamina side, but as you can see, I had a roll because it had no ammo capacity on it. And when you're in the DZ, ammo is clutch, because if you have no ammo, then you can't necessarily shoot back. You can just do what most of the Nomad 6-piece players do, is just stand there waiting around for somebody to go rogue all day and absolutely doing nothing, or actually flagging yourself, maybe killing one person, and then constantly running away and having all those procs and pretty much 9 lives. But if at all possible, I would have re-rolled this stamina roll to get a higher percentage, but actually with a score only 278, I can optimize it quite a few times and achieve a lot higher than I currently have. But if you're able and already have health rolled onto the major attributes, then you can re-roll any of the main stats above to acquire the affected area that you want, which is 1401 is the highest you can get, but you definitely want ammo capacity in the minor attributes. When it comes to skill haste, it does come in handy, but if you are more or less PvE, then you could go for damage to elites. You can also go with EDR or all resist, any of those combinations, just whatever best suits you. But in this case, I am somewhat compensating for the low skill power and getting the skill haste. Going on to the mod slots, We have 264 firearms and 31 health in both. These are currently, I don't remember exactly what safe house is, not safe house, but well, it is a safe house, in the light zone where they have these mods for sale, which is the firearms and the health as you see here. So it came in quite clutch. Moving on to the mask, we have 902 armor. When optimized, it could be higher. The highest you can go is like my Striker's mask and my Lone Star mask, as you see below, at 101 armor. We don't have to necessarily be too tanky because we are utilizing the proc of the one Nomad, and so we opted in for the additional crit chance here. He already had a good firearm throw on it, so that's why I opted on to re-roll the major attributes and then the minor. For those pesky fire turrets and whatnot, then I just opted in for the burn resistance. But if you choose to have a little more skill power, by all means you can substitute the crit chance for skill power, but in this case I'm going for as much damage as possible, so therefore I chose crit chance. Oh, almost forgot. Sorry about that. In the mod slot, we have another one of those firearms mod with the 3100 health. Now moving on to the knee pads, we have 1643, decent base armor, decent stamina at 1378, and the major attributes we went for the health. And you'll see why I went for the health on this instead of the additional crit damage. But as you'll see in a minute, I need a new Ninja Bike messenger bag because I cannot roll the major attribute on it. It's stuck on stability, but if I had that at health, then my toughness would be the exact same as what it is, and you don't have to be too tanky when it comes to toughness, just for a simple fact of you are more or less relying on that one proc if you should need it. But if you want to be a little more tanky, then you can keep health on this and not roll for the extra crit damage. It's pretty much player's choice and whatever best fits your playstyle. But in this situation, since I'm lacking health on my backpack, then I have health rolled here on these knee pads. In the minors, we have blind death resistance and damage to elites, and it doesn't really matter, but they increase kill XP. And in the mod slots, once again, 264 firearms, 31 health, and then first aid self-heal. And like I said before, on my Ninja Bike messenger bag, it had a crappy electronics roll, and I needed firearms, so I had to roll firearms on it, and that stuck me with stability here. But instead of stability, you would want health. And then also, like I said before, in the minors, you want ammo capacity. In the mod slot, again, 264 firearms and 31 health with 2 first aid self-heals. Now moving on to the gloves, we have the trifecta at crit hit damage, SMG damage, and crit hit chance. If you prefer an AR, you can substitute SMG damage for assault rifle damage, but just keep in mind, as we all know, but those that are new to the game, Predator's Mark utilizes either SMG or ARs, so it would be, pointless for me to be using an LMG, a marksman rifle, or a shotgun, because Predator's Mark gives you that 8% additional damage bonus for when using an SMG or an AR. Now moving on to the holster, 1390, 1401, and a little low on the electronics. That will go up a little bit once it's completely optimized. I can go all the way up to 295, so that's basically 2 more turns. That'll probably get me about 15 to 20 points higher, but it's not really going to make that much of a difference. And as you can see in the major attributes, I went also once again for crit chance. But if you just want to be even more tanky troll with this build, then by all means you can put health on here, or you can actually have skill haste. But we're going for damage and more or less group play, or duos, or running in a squad of 3. So therefore, we have if you have such as a healer on your team or somebody with a good skill build, then you can utilize combat medic also with somebody else's heals and a little bit of your own. And you can focus more on the DPS than you would be toughness. If you're not quite fond or of the PvP side and you just want to survive and have survivability when trying to farm the DZ, then you can cut back on the crit chance and just put health here, as well as your knee pads and your backpack. And then we have another first aid self-heal. Now let's go to the character sheet. As you can see, it's only 45% crit hit chance and 117 crit hit damage. I usually run Reggie Merc that runs a pulse, and with his pulse, this particular build hits max crit chance, and with additional it comes up to about 137 in crit hit damage. But if you have health on your backpack, then you can have that extra 9% max of crit hit damage on your knee pads. That will make this build even more potent with its DPS. 20% stability, 15% reload speed, like I said before, that 8% assault rifle damage, and then we have 20% SMG damage, 14% damage to elites if you choose to run this on the PvE. And then skills, we have that little 8% skill haste, which may save, shave you about 4 or 5 seconds. And then our max health pool is 314k. And then our armor mitigation is 31.77%. But if you have better armor rolls on your gear, then your armor mitigation is going to be a lot higher, and that will reflect in your toughness up there. It'll be higher than what I currently have. And then we don't have, all damage resistance, protection from elites, or any of that, or exotic damage resilience. But if you run into, say, a lot of things in the DZ, such as stickies or seekers or whatnot, and absolutely need it, it is very much viable to put EDR on your chest. 30% bleed resistance, just for those somewhat pesky other pred players. And then we have 15% burn resistance, and nothing on disrupt and shock resistance. It's just a pretty fun build to play because, like I said, you do have survivability along with DPS, and by some odd reason, if you're getting melted, and you still have that proc of the Nomad to fall back on, and that constant slow heal that you'll receive during battle. Now let's go on to the skills here. You can, like I said, you can utilize pulse here if you're like more or less in duos and the other person has a weaker pulse, but basically my skill power is, bare minimum. But you could, get the extra 7% crit chance and the 9.5 crit damage. But in this situation, I'm using the drop box just for, flame turret, shock turrets, or, to help with the Predator's Mark bleed. Then you want to run immunizer here. I just went to the booster shot as my alternate heal, just for the little bit of damage boost that it gives you, and the little temporary increase in resistance, damage resistance it gives you, with a minimal health effect. But I mean, if you want to have a little more health, which is not going to make much difference if you do switch to overdose, so it's best in this particular situation just for the additional damage to pop, then I am running booster shot here. But like I said, it's a great build. It's fun. It's not exactly 9 lives as a 6-piece Nomad has, but you do get that 1 proc every 4 minutes, and you're doing a lot of DPS, so you don't necessarily have to be tanky. But yet, if you save and hold on to that and don't necessarily need it and have good footwork, then you're not going to need that proc, and then you're just going to mow people down with your DPS. And if you're, like I said, if you're running with a healer, then it's going to work wonders. So I urge you to try it out. So if you, like I don't have a complete 6-piece of Nomad, so you could also call this the poor man's Mad Pred, so to speak. Because you are utilizing the 8% bonus from Predator's Mark, and also the 1 proc of Nomad to give you pretty much that extra life, but you're not getting 9 lives like some of these guys get when running 6-piece Nomad. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested and think this is something that you want to try out and enjoy the content, then ground and pound that like button. Thank you guys so much, and as always, be kind to one another, rebel against the world. Romans 12:2. Have a good one. We'll see you guys fudging later.